Hello, friends. Welcome to the first part of our medieval Indian history series, crucial for UPSC, WBCS, and state PCS exams. Today, in this lecture, we explore early medieval India's vibrant kingdoms, culture, and legacy. So, let's start. So, early medieval India, okay. The period after Harsa's kingdom, right? So, Harsa's kingdom was a strong centralized rule, and after that, in medieval India, as we enter medieval India, we see disintegration or weakening of centralized power. Disintegration or weakening of centralized power. So what we see is the coming up of regional kingdoms, right? So this period was marked by the emergence of regional kingdoms. Guys, see, whenever the centralized power is weakened, then obviously there will be disintegration and there will be emergence of regional kingdoms. We see the same after the weakening of Mughal powers. We see the same after weakening of Guptas, right? So this period is also known as the age of conflict in North India. Why? Because of the tripartite struggle between Rashtrakutas in Deccan, Palas in Bengal, and Pratiharas in northwest India. In northwest India, we have Gurjara-Pratiharas. In Bengal, we have Palas. And in Deccan, we have Rashtrakutas. Okay, and there are several other small regional powers like Parmars, Chalukyas, Kakatiyas, okay, so Somavamsa, there are numerous powers, Tomars, okay, and decline of these empires, of these three empires also led to the rise of smaller Rajput kingdoms, like I already said, like Chauhans, Chandelas, and Parmars, okay. So these Rajput kingdoms resisted but eventually fell through Turkish invasions led by Mahmud of Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. So when these regional kingdoms arise, ultimately they were overpowered by the Turkish invasion from this area. Okay, from this area, the Turkish invasion occurred mainly Mahmud of Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. Okay, so Mahmud of Ghazni was a ruler from Ghazni. Ghazni is in modern day Afghanistan. Okay, so the capital of Ghaznavid empire was Ghazni. Okay, and in his period, Mahmud of Ghazni, we had important writers like Al-Biruni and Firdausi. We had important writers. So in his court, so we have to remember these names. Okay, the questions can be asked. Al-Biruni belong to which period or which kingdom? Okay, so now we see that there occurred a feudalism debate in India. Okay, so what is feudalism? Feudalism means there is a relation of production between landholders and tenants, okay, or farmers. Okay, so zamindari system is also one of the part of feudalism. Okay, so feudalism debate in India, whether feudalism occurred in India or not in those periods, we can see that there was a rise of forced labor or vishti. Okay, so that shows the rise of feudalism. Okay, because in feudalism we have laborers. Okay, forced labor is one of the characteristics of feudalism. So in European feudalism, there was hierarchical system with king, dukes, barons, and knights. Okay, there was a time of lords and serfs. Okay, that was the time. Lords were the landholders and serfs were the peasants. Okay, but Indian feudalism developed differently, and that has been reflected by different writers and authors like R.S. Sarma, B.N.S. Yadav, B.D. Chattopadhyay, and Harbans Mukhia. You can look into it. That is not much important for our exam point of view. Now we see in this period we have the rise of Rajputs, as we have already discussed. Tomars, we have Parmars, we have Chandelas. Okay, so there were different Rajput clan who were ruling over different parts of India then. Rajput became prominent as a lineage based group, and they gained power through land distribution among royal family members, and they built forts and formed alliances, okay, political and matrimonial, to consolidate power. Okay, so they also got Brahmanical support then. Okay, they invited Brahmins to perform rituals for legitimacy. That Rajput were from Surya Vansh or Chandravangshi or Agnikul Vangshi. So they tried to legitimize their clan, okay, through Brahmanical support. We can also say this process as Sanskritization. Sanskritization means emulating the rituals of higher caste to climb up the ladder. Okay, so Rajputs followed this. The Sanskritization, this ideology was given, this process was given by M.N. Srinivas. He was a famous sociologist, Indian sociologist. So it was given by M.N. Srinivas. Going forward, we have different Rajput kingdoms like Chauhans of Delhi, Ajmer. Okay, so why it is important? Because of Prithviraj Chauhan. He was the prominent leader of Chauhans of Delhi, Ajmer. He was also known as Rai Pithora. You have to note this name because this may be asked in the exam. So his achievements or notable events were: he defeated Muhammad Ghori in the first battle of Terrain. Okay, who was Muhammad Ghori? Muhammad Ghori was the general of Mahmud of Ghazni. Okay, Mahmud of Ghazni. So he was the general of Mahmud of Ghazni, and he is also popular for laying the foundation of Muslim rule in India that eventually brought Delhi Sultanate rule in India. Okay, when Muhammad Ghori left India, he left Qutb Uddin Aibak to rule over India. Qutb Uddin Aibak. Okay, so that started Delhi Sultanate in India. Okay, so this you have to note. Guys, you can watch this video in 1.5x. Okay, because I am explaining very slowly, gradually, so that you can understand. So you can watch it in 1.5x also. Now, in the second battle of Terrain, Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated and executed. So second battle of Terrain happened in 1192. First battle happened in 1191. Famous literary works: Prithviraj Raso by Chand Bardai, famous writer, and Prithviraj Vijaya by Jayanak, who was from Kashmir. Jayanak was from Kashmir. So he wrote Prithviraj Vijaya. After his death, Chauhans, the Chauhan kingdom, they retreated to Ranthambore. Ranthambore is presently in which state? Now you have to search that. Okay, there is also Ranthambore National Park. So this Chauhan kingdom was eventually captured by Alauddin Khilji in 1301. As Alauddin Khilji was expanding his rule and he wanted to crush the Rajput power, so he also annexed Chauhans. Okay. Now, next power is Palas, the Palas. Okay. So in the tripartite struggle, the Palas were also a prominent power. Now the founder was Gopala. Okay, and he was elected to end anarchy, and he built Odanpuri monastery. See, Palas were ardent follower of Buddhism. Okay, so they built monasteries. Okay, even Dharmapala, the next ruler, he expanded empire and he built Bikramsila monastery. Very important, guys. You have to remember this. Okay, and you have to remember only the important points. Okay, no need to mug up all the facts. And now we see cultural contributions. He promoted Buddhism. He supported Nalanda. Not only Dharmapala, but other rulers also. They were ardent followers of Buddhism. So they supported Nalanda, Vikramshila, Sompura, Mahavira. Okay. So Vikramshila University or Mahavihara. Okay, Mahavihara also it is called. Bihara is school of learning. Okay, and Mahavihara means university in those days. So Vikramshila is this in present times. Okay, so only the remains are there. Now they were finally, the Palas were dethroned by Vijay Sena of the Hindu Sena dynasty in Bengal. Next, we see Pratiharas of Kannauj, also called Gurjara-Pratiharas. Founder was Nagabhattavan. Guys, you also have to remember the founder name. Okay. Nagabhatta defeated the Arabs and extended control to Gujarat and Gwalior. See, in this time, in early medieval period, the society was in churn. There was a political churning because Arabs or Muslims were looking to come to India. Okay, so there was a political churning, and even Rajputs were struggling to keep the Arabs out. Okay, so notable rulers, we see Nagabhatta too. He captured Kannauj and he rebuilt Somnath temple. Okay, Somnath temple, which was damaged or destroyed by Mahmud of Ghazni. So this is the Somnath temple. It was rebuilt by Nagabhatta too. So it means that they were followers of Hinduism also. Okay, so if that type of question comes, then you have to use this analogy. So Nagabhatta too had repaired Somnath temple. So that means that they were followers of Hinduism. Mihir Voj, most celebrated ruler, he expanded the empire. He assumed the title of Adi Varaha, had a strong cavalry, and he was praised by Arab traveler Al-Masudi. Okay, so Mahendrapala, nothing such significant, so we can leave this. But poet Rajasekhara was in his court. And administration had 8 key officials like Kotapala, who looked after the fort, Dandapasika, who was police, Baladikrit, who was army chief. So these all names you can go through, but no need to mug up. Okay. Architecture known for temples and sculptures contributed to Khajuraho style of temples. Okay. So Khajuraho temples were mostly built by Chandelas, but even Pratiharas also contributed. Next, we move on to Chandela dynasty. Okay. Chandela dynasty, today's region of Bundelkhand or central India. They are most famous for Khajuraho style of temples. Khajuraho group of temples which are inscribed in UNESCO World Heritage Site. So this you have to remember. Okay. Yasovarman was the first key ruler who began the construction of Khajuraho temples. Okay, these all names you can go through. Architecture famous for Khajuraho temples or Nagara style. Here you can see this image or this temple is Kandariya Mahadev temple. Okay, guys, Mahadev temple. So it was one of the prominent temples of Nagara style. Okay. So here we can see what is Nagara style. So we basically have mainly two types of temple architecture, which are Nagara and we have Dravidian temple architecture. So temple architecture is divided into Nagara and Dravidian. So most of the North Indian temples are Nagara style of temples. Okay, and most of the South Indian temples are we have Dravidian type of temples. Okay, so in Nagara type of temples we have this curvilinear kind of thing which is known as Sikhar. Okay, it is Sikhar. So this is curvilinear. Okay, it goes like this. Okay, so that is curvilinear. You can also see here. Okay, so that is curvilinear. And in the case of Dravidian, in Dravidian case we have a pyramidical shape. Like you guys have seen the temple, South Indian temple, it is like this. Okay, I cannot draw the exact image, but it is like this, and this part is known as Viman. Okay, in Nagara type we call it Sikhar, in Dravidian type we call it Viman. Okay, and it is pyramidical shape, and this is curvilinear shape. And in Dravidian temples, you can see mostly there are large indoor area. Okay, temple is here, and we have large area, and we also have water bodies. Okay, water bodies we have, and we have elaborate gateway that is known as Gopuram. Okay, so that is the difference between Nagara and Dravidian temple architecture. And mostly in Nagara style, we see elaborate staircases. See here, we have staircases. Okay, so this is there in Nagara style of temples. So that is the difference, and you should be very aware of these things. Okay. Now, as we look into Chandela dynasty, they supported Sanskrit literature and temple art, obviously, because they started Khajuraho temples, right? Religion, they were mainly Hinduism with Jain patronage. Decline, they lost to the Delhi Sultanate through Khilji invasion in early 13th century. Okay, guys, Chandela dynasty is over. Now we see Parmar dynasty. Okay, Parmar dynasty, we had key ruler in Raja Bhoj. The area was Malwa, today's western Madhya Pradesh and some parts of Rajasthan. Okay, so Parmars were there. And Raja Bhoj was the key ruler. He was also scholar, king, poet and warrior. Okay, architecture, they built Bhojeshwar temple, Bhojsala at Dhar. Okay, and he also wrote these treatise or writings, Saraswati, Kanthabharan, and you have to remember some names, not useful to remember all the names. Okay, conflicts, they fought against Chalukyas, Kalachuris and Solankis. Religion, mostly Saivism, but tolerant. Okay, patrons of scholars and learning, and they were weakened by the invasions of Delhi Sultanate and internal strife. So we see that after this emergence of regional kingdoms, they were threatened, and then ultimately they were weakened and invaded by Delhi Sultanate. Now Solanki dynasty, time period 10 to 13th century CE, region was Gujarat and parts of Rajasthan, capital Patan, Anhilwara Patan. Okay, key rulers Mulla Raja. Okay, the main thing here now is they built Modhera Sun Temple. Okay, that is very important. So you have to remember this. Other things are not much important, but you can go through. You can also take the screenshot, okay, so that you can refer to it later. Now we move on to Rashtrakuta dynasty. Okay, Rashtrakuta dynasty, mostly they were present in Deccan. So they were part of the tripartite struggle between Palas, Pratiharas and Rashtrakutas. Now Danti Durga was the founder. You have to remember this name. Okay, and Krishna I, he was a great ruler. He built Kailasnath temple at Ellora. Ellora is mostly 32 caves. Okay, 32 caves that makes Ellora, and mostly it has Hindu, Buddhist and Jain caves. Okay, so in Ellora we have Kailasnath temple, which is built of a single rock. You can see here, it is carved out of a single rock. Okay, so that is fascinating. Okay, so this is very important. Amoga Varsha I, he was a patron of Kannada literature. Okay, amongst Rashtrakuta. And features architecture, rock cut Kailashnath temple, Ellora caves. They were very famous for building Ellora caves. Religion, Saivism, also supported Jainism and Buddhism. Literature, Sanskrit and Kannada. Okay. Conflicts, they fought with Pratiharas and Palas because tripartite struggle was going on. Decline, they were eventually overthrown by Western Chalukyas in late 10th century. Now, Tomar of Haryana and Delhi. Capital was Dillika or Delhi. They were considered feudatories of Pratiharas. Okay. So, conflict, frequent battles with Chauhans. Okay. And famous ruler was Anangapala Tomar, considered the founder of Delhi. Mentioned on the Mehroli iron pillar inscription. Very important. You have to note this. And architectural contributions was they founded Lal Kot and built Anang Tal Tank and Suraj Kund. Okay, this you have to remember. And Gadwals or Rathors of Kannauj. They claim descent from Suryavanshi Kshatriyas. Okay, not much important. Now we move into the causes of decline of the Rajputs. Why Rajput kingdom declined? Because there were so many kingdoms or so many small principalities. As you can see, Chauhan, Tomar, and all. So, the lack of political unity post Harsa and fragmented into small principalities, absence of strong central authority or national feeling, nationalization, national feeling was missing. Military reasons, they relied on feudal lords' army. They didn't have the standing army of their own and they relied on the Zamindar's army. So feudal lord or zamindars had their own army to protect their land. So the kings depended on these armies and they lacked standing army and reserve forces. And there were poor training, war tactics was missing and poor leadership. Okay. Caste divisions weakened the unity. Rigid caste system was there. Okay. And Muslims exhibited stronger unity and allowed talented individuals, even slaves, to rise. And that's why there was slave dynasty. Okay. So they even allowed talented individuals to rise. Economic reasons, obviously, lavish spending, internal conflicts drained the treasury. And diminishing military strength, agriculture and trade also suffered. Now we move to another very important kingdom, that was Cholas. And we call it the imperial Cholas because Cholas were there even in Sangam period. But the Cholas from 900 to 1200 CE, we call them imperial Cholas. Okay. So Cholas were here in this region of India, in Tamil Nadu, present-day Tamil Nadu and some parts of Kerala. And they also emerged as a strong Indian power, strong regional power. And they also had influence over several southeastern nations, as you can see in this map. They overthrew Pallavas and emerged as most powerful in South India. They had a navy, very important. They had a navy. Okay, naval force they had. So they dominated the sea trade and conquered Sri Lanka, Maldives and attacked Southeast Asia. Very important. Territorial control, they dominated the peninsula, engaged with Cheras, Pandyas and Chalukyas. Okay. So the key rulers were Vijayalaya. He captured Tanjore, okay, and founded the dynasties. So question may come, who founded the dynasty? You have to write Vijayalaya. Okay. Aditya I, he defeated Pandyas, not much important. Raja I is very important. The most powerful naval expeditions to Malaya, conquered Sri Lanka, and he built Brihadeshwar temple. Okay, Brihadeshwar temple, as you can see here, this is the Brihadeshwar temple. He built the Brihadeshwar temple, the most important temple under Dravidian form of temples. Okay. And Rajendra I, his son, he continued the expansion and invented also the Ganga region, Malaya region, Sumatra. Okay, so Malaya region and Sumatra also he captured. So Chola administration was mainly decentralized. Okay. So decentralized form of governments and titles. The Raja was given the title of Raja Dhiraj. Okay. Central authority, king had the supreme power aided by ministers, but empire was divided into mandalams, provinces, like India is divided into states right now. So states, then districts, like this, okay? Districts, and then blocks or group of villages, and then villages, okay? So likewise, it was divided. And there was a village self-governance. So our Panchayati Raj system had its origin, or we can say it was also influenced by this form of self-governance under Chola administration. Ur was the assembly of common villages, non-Brahman, and Sabha or Mahasabha was the Brahman settlements, Brahman assembly. So so caste system was present there also. Okay. And the Brahman settlements were known as Agraharas. Okay. And there was even mercantile group or business groups. Okay. Because they had a strong navy, they had a strong trade relationship with Southeast Asia also. So mercantile groups. Okay. And Nagaram was the assemblies of merchant and traders. Okay. Now, bodyguards were also there. Elite royal guards protected the king at all cost. So this is important. Now, Chola village administration, we have already talked about it. Okay. So there was early model of Panchayati Raj system. The art and architecture, we can see Dravida style of temple architecture flourished during this period. And Brihadeshwar temple in Tanjore was very important. Okay. They built a Brihadeshwar temple, and this is the Viman we were talking about. Okay, this is the Viman, and it is pyramidical shape. So that is the difference between northern and southern types of temples. Okay, this is pyramidical in shape. Okay, and see gopurams or temple gateways. Gateways are also very elaborate. Okay, this may be the gateway as I assume, and even gateways are like temples. Okay, so and mandaps are the pillared halls. When you enter the temple, you have these kind of halls. There are pillared halls. Okay, so the devotees can sit and pray like that. And Garbhagriha or sanctorum is the main place for deity. So it might be over here. Okay, inside here. So main deity resides in the main temple, which is known as Garbhagriha. Okay. And temples were also institutions, as they served as cultural, educational, and social centers. Okay. And influence, they were continued under Chalukyas of Kalyani and Hoysalas. As you can see, Hoysaleswar temple. Now we move to Kashmir emergence. Okay. So main source is Raja Taringini. This book is very important and repeatedly asked in the exam. Okay, Raja Taringini. It was written in 12th century in Sanskrit. So even then Sanskrit was popular in Kashmir. And Karkota dynasty was ruling Kashmir from 625 CE to 855 CE, founded by Durlabh Vardhana, also known as Pragnan Aditya. Okay, during Harshavardhana's time, capital was Parihaspur. Religion was primarily Hindu but also patronized Buddhism. They constructed temples, stupas, biharas. Huensang visited Kashmir during Durlabh Vardhana's rule. So this you have to remember. And they also built Martand Sun Temple. Sun Temple is basically very important also for Indian astronomical studies. Okay, astronomical studies. Okay, so they were not only mere temples, but they also were Indian astronomical centers. Okay, so at what time the sun rises, that all were positioned, the pillars were positioned likewise. Okay, and this Martand Sun Temple in Anantnag were the earliest and one of the largest sun temples in India. So guys, we have come to the end of this video. So in the conclusion, we see that the early medieval period or the post-Gupta period was marked by the rise of regional kingdoms, mainly Rajputs. We have seen Palas, we have seen Rashtrakutas, we have seen Pratiharas, we have seen Solanki, we have seen rulers in Kashmir. Okay, so rise of regional kingdoms due to decentralization. Okay, because central power of Guptas and Harsa gradually weakened. Okay, and 8th century was marked by political fragmentation. Many small kingdoms came into the picture. Okay, that obviously led to the rise of regional culture, but it also weakened the central rule, and the invaders got the opportunity to invade India. There were lack of central authority that led to Turkish invasion and setting the stage for the Delhi Sultanate. So in the next video, we will learn about the rise of Delhi Sultanate and various dynasty under it. So thank you guys, and do subscribe, like, share the channel.